One of the highlights of the spring for me is hunting black bear. And although we have some great black bear in the Northeast where I live, I mean, world-class animals, we don't have a spring season. So if I want to hunt them in the spring, the only place to go is Canada. I've been hunting in Alberta for years, between mule deer, whitetail, moose, black bear. In fact, I shot my first and only wolf with my bow in Alberta. Just an incredible province. Love hunting there, love the people that are there. After 2 years of the border being closed because of the pandemic, I was finally going to be able to go on a spring black bear hunt. One of the great things about hunting with Alberta Bush Adventures in the Peace River is that there's a lot of agriculture that meets the bush.
The area we hunt, it's called the Northern Boreal Forest. Basically, where we hunt is where the agriculture meets the wilderness.
And that fine line where a bear could have all the cover of being in the bush, still go into these agriculture areas and feed most of the year and just go to bed, go to hibernation in great shape, means they're gonna come out in the spring looking just as good.
The bush is mostly covered up with poplar, spruce, willow, stuff like that. It's very good bear habitat. And the bears have the best of both worlds. They'll gravitate to the agricultural fields and get some high-protein food. And I think that's one of the reasons we have such big bears. That, and combined with some genetics, we get some real quality animals up here.
My flights were all booked. They were flying me through San Francisco. I didn't mind as long as my first stop was in the US. I'm there 3 hours before my flight, get my bags checked, go downstairs to get something to eat, and I get a text. Your flight's canceled, which blows my mind. Why would you take my bags if you knew you were going to cancel the flight? The ticket agent told me the only chance I would have of getting my bags is to go downstairs and wait. Well, I get down there and there's, a bunch of people and they're shorthanded and blah, blah, blah. There's no way of getting my bags. I don't have my gear. Without my bow, there's no point in even going to Canada because there's no way of getting my equipment up there. You got to be able to adapt to conditions on the ground, whether that's hunting or you're dealing with an airport attendant. So I pull a little New York on them, put my hand in my pocket. I pulled out some cash. I said, this is for now, and this is when you find my bags. It's amazing. I got my bags within a half hour. So now I have my bags. So I rebooked my flight through Toronto. And the reason I don't like flying to Canada as my first stopover is that if your bags get lost, they have to go through customs and immigration. And if you have another flight, a connecting flight from Toronto, the problem was my bags will be stuck in Toronto. Well, of course, that's what happened. So I get to Toronto and I'm missing my bags. So I fly on with my connecting flight to Edmonton. They reassured me my bags would make it there, so I stayed an extra night in Edmonton before I left for camp, hoping that my bags made it. Unfortunately, my bags were stuck at Customs and Immigration. They're not affiliated with the airlines. They have nothing to do with it. After a ton of phone calls, I made the decision to continue up to camp. Now, in my bow case, which did make it, I keep a full set of gear. I have base layer, mid layer, outer layer. I was wearing my boots with me, so I had everything I needed to get in the woods and hunt that first night. I do carry cameras in my carry-on, so again, I had all my equipment and I could get up into the stand on my first night in Alberta.
Well, first day out, gonna go set Gus up in a bear stand. Bear's leaving some nice big prints, heavy bear. First day on stand, see what happens.
We're not big outfitters. We don't take a lot of people. We just find that we try quality over quantity, I guess, if you could call it that. My sons helped me do some guiding. We just outfit out of the house. We still have a lot of territory to hunt. Kind of manage our game as best we can. That's one of the reasons we don't take a lot of hunters, so we can continue and have good big bears, whitetails, elk, whatever. Yeah, I've been an outfitter a long time. There's been there's no doubt some good years and great years and not so good years.
First night back in the Canadian bush, I'm pumped. We got a thunderstorm blowing in. I'm gonna batten everything down. I'm gonna ride it out. Hopefully these bears start moving when the storm passes. You know, my first night on stand in Alberta, you know, the rain started coming, the temperatures dropped. It really put a damper on the week, you know, really shut down the bear activity. We weren't seeing much on camera. There just wasn't much happening. And that's the weather in Canada. There's nothing much you can do about it. Well, it was the second night on stand here in Alberta Bush Adventures. I actually shot a bear, or a nice bear, out of this stand 4 years ago. We had a few smaller bear. We had one really good bear. He wasn't a Boone and Crockett, but he was a good quality bear. He showed up. I took my shot. I thought the shot was right in there. I ended up having to leave the bear overnight and found him the next day. Again, just a good quality bear at Alberta Bush Adventures. He came here tonight, the wind shifted. This might be a good stand. There's a giant bear that's been hitting this bait. He wasn't here last night from the camera, and he wasn't here this morning, so maybe he'll show up tonight and we'll get a crack at him.
So when you're hunting over bait and you're targeting those big, mature boars, it's not just a walk in the park. And bears are smart. They play the wind. Sometimes they'll circle, go right by the bait site just enough to get a sniff to see if there's a hot sow there, and there's something there they're not looking for. They just keep going.
Any bear that hovers around that 7-foot range is a big, big bear in this area, and I think in most areas of the world. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while, because you got to imagine, guys will spend a long time hunting for a 7-foot bear, but you may have to come 2 or 3 times and pass up smaller bears to get to that 7-footer.
We got about 25 minutes left of good light. I'm on the same stand I was last night. There had been a big boar on here 3 days ago, and he hasn't shown back up. Maybe we'll give it one more day, but we had a storm blow through on Monday. Temperatures really cooled, and it's been like on and off raining most of the time, but temperatures are down. It's getting down to freezing at night. It's really slowing the bear activity, so we'll sit tight. Like I said, we've probably got 20-25 minutes left of good light. We'll sit it out tonight and see what happens.
So in our area up here in northern Alberta, we're hunting basically some big farm country that butts up right up against some big bush. Some of this bush will go all the way up to the Northwest Territories. So our bears have a lot of time to get some age on them and really mature. Low hunting pressure here for the bears. We don't get too many people hunting bears in this area. So we have a very high bear population, and it's very healthy. We got lots of sows with cubs and bears of all ages.
The cameras are monitoring the baits 24/7. And before, we were just going with just old school, walking around, seeing what the sign was. And it worked, but now we're finding out that, you know, some of those big boars are visiting the baits, not hanging around very long. They're looking for hot sows, and they're moving on. But we're also finding out that those same boars, even though they don't hang around, they do come back to the bait and keep checking it. So if you identify a big boar at a bait, it's a matter of sitting there and waiting them out.
I've been involved in the outfitting industry since I was a young age. Mom and Dad started outfitting when I was pretty young. And then right out of high school, I wanted to do something different. So I sent a resumes out to a bunch of outfitters in the Yukon for a summer job. And I got one reply back. So I wrote my last exam in high school. Didn't even stick around for the party, jumped on a plane and went to the Yukon. It was some fun times. Every day up there is a new adventure.
So after 5 days on stand, we really weren't seeing the bears we were looking for. Like I said, the weather had cooled down. It really shut the bears down. It seemed to us that the bears were figuring out where these stands were. Back in the stand I was in on the first night, the wind shifted. It was coming out of the east, then it came out of the west, and that would be blowing right to that barrel, so we could not hunt this stand.
So whenever we pick a stand location, we always pick a stand location according to the wind, so that the wind, your wind, is not blowing directly to the barrel.
The night that we weren't here, there was a big boar in on the bait, the bear we were targeting. So Alberta Bush Adventures has permanent stands and baits that have been established for years. The thing is, these bears started figuring out where these stands are. Although the wind would be wrong for that stand for me, it's right for the bear. They would take that trail in, catch the wind. If they smelled somebody in that stand, they would just go to another bait.
And this week, we've had a lot of big boars showing up at a lot of different bait sites. They're a little inconsistent at the moment. The weather hasn't been all that great, a little unseasonably cold. But them big boars have been showing up and sniffing around, looking for sows, getting a little bit of snack and carrying on. And in this country, with all them boars traveling like that, we know they've been to those bait sites. We just play the wind and try and wait them out, wait for those big boars to make a mistake.
So what we decided to do was fool the bears. We tried something, we were getting desperate.
So if you pick a stand with a bad wind where the wind's blowing right from the hunter to the bait site, you know, those bears might come in, and they'll come in and sniff around once they get to the bait site. It'll make them uneasy. And those real big boars, once they catch that quick wind, sometimes you've educated that bear, and it can be pretty difficult to kill those big old boars once they've been educated. Generally, you gotta set up a stand in a different location and then hunt that stand with a different wind and try and fool those bears. Them big old boars are just as hard to kill or harder than a big whitetail. You can't do much about them bears. They're always gonna circle around and check the wind. But as long as the wind is not going straight from the hunter to the barrel, you're okay.
All right, we're loaded today. Let's hope we're heavier than this coming back tonight.
So on the 6th day of the hunt, we decided to do something radical. We set up a new stand on one of the baits. We thought this was chancy, but it might work. And again, we were desperate. It was our 6th day. This one's good. Yeah, this one's good. All right. It's our last night. We moved this stand yesterday to this bait. This bait's been hit. We moved this stand, played the wind, got it as far back as we could. We got it baited up. The wind is along this fence line. We got this field behind us. Can't really silhouette us too good, but we're gonna sit tight and hopefully one of these bears come in tonight. It worked. Sure enough, the bear I had seen on trail camera the day before, the big chocolate bear came in. So a smaller bear came in, a smaller male came in. He went and started feeding. Then a sow came and the chocolate was following her. He was still very cautious. He came in, he went to the bait, but he faced me. Now, I was just happy to get this bear on camera. This is our targeted bear. We set up this new crazy situation where we set up a stand the day before we went in there. The bear came in, I had him on camera. He's eating, he's staying there, but he's facing me. So I don't know if most bears know you're in the stand, but I got a feeling they do. It's kind of a risk-reward thing. They'd rather eat the bait and not fear you. So he did come in, he was facing me, I had no shot. The bear stayed there for a while eating. Then just as soon as he came, he turned and left, leaving me no shot. So I thought that was it. You know, we did fool that bear, so it was really cool. I did get footage of the bear coming in. You know, the plan worked. We had, you know, a great week with Alberta Bush Adventures. But the greatest thing in the world, when you find a sow that's going into heat, these boars stay with them. So caution to the wind, he comes in. Now again, he gets and positions himself so I have no shot. He's feeding. She knows something's up. She circles around me more than once. She knows I'm up in that tree. After some time, she figured I wasn't a danger. She goes to the bait. Now I got 2 bear feeding on a barrel and 1 feeding on a beaver pot. I'm just waiting for that chocolate bear to make a mistake. pretty incredible when you see a chocolate bear that size. And it's not because they don't grow that big, it's because people shoot them when they're younger. I've had so many arguments over this where guys have said, oh, you know, they don't get that big. Well, people shoot these colored bears way too young, and they're not mature bears. If you allow them to get mature, they'll get just as big as any other bear. I've seen bears up in Canada, rugs and mounts of bear that were almost 8 feet, and they were colored bears. So to me, this bear had survived a lot of other hunters who didn't get a shot at him. So I was just waiting for my opportunity. He steps off, I have my shot. And the rest is history. You know, I got this gorgeous chocolate bear.
I heard him kind of crashing. See if we see any blood on anything. All right, oh yeah, okay. On that tree? Right there in the tree. Oh, there's a lot of blood here. There he is. Is he on the other side of that tree?
I think that is him.
Check him out. Oh my God. Joel. Dude, yeah, look at all the blood here, bro.
Oh yeah, you bled.
Oh my God, Joel. That's a bear of a lifetime, bro. Well, that is the bear of a lifetime. He didn't go very far at all. He's in the water right here, so I'm gonna give him a little time, make sure he's dead. His nose is down in the water, we don't see any bubbles. That was the most unbelievable black bear hunt I've ever been on. He's laying right there, so I'm gonna have a fun time. He's a big boy, we can get him out of that water. What do you think, brother? Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
Good stuff.
We wanted to get this bear cleaned up so you could actually see the color. He died in the swamp, so he was wet. I just wanted to do him justice and give respect to this animal because he's just magnificent. I never thought I'd get the opportunity at a colored bear this size. Just incredible, bear of a lifetime, and I could not be happier.
Here at Alberta Bush Adventures, we take a lot of pride in trophy care. It doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. That's your trophy, that's your animal you're gonna take home. You know, tell stories forever about it. So we make sure that all hides, bear, moose, elk, whitetails, they're skinned clean, fleshed, ears turned, lips turned, everything, and those hides are salted. So then when you're traveling and you're taking that trophy home, that way your trophy is preserved. So when you're traveling through the airport, if your bags get misplaced for a day or so, the hides will still be in good shape once they get to you.
We understand that, you know, some guys, it's a lot of money to come on a hunt. They've dreamed about it for a long time, and they work hard for their money, and we try and give that back. I mean, we work as hard as we can. We have to provide the best service that we can.
So there were so many times from the start of this hunt that I didn't think things were going to happen, from canceled flights, lost bags, the whole mishap of getting there, the weather changing, you know, 5 days of not seeing a shooter bear on stand, and finally that last day, last light, getting my shot. You know, you hear it said so many times to stick with it, and, you know, sometimes you doubt yourself, but staying with it does matter. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy your time and your experience in the woods. You know, the trip was not successful because I killed a bear. The trip was successful because I got to spend time in the Canadian bush, hunting with Alberta Bush Adventures, and just had an incredible memory.